Back at it again with the Mobius Dickus, chapter 51, the Spirit Spout. So this is a rather kind of spooky short little chapter where we hear about this kind of burst of water that appears multiple times at night and how there's, kind of an obsession with looking for it, even though to look for whales at night is unnatural and contrary to how whaling usually operates. There's only two passages I want to look at here because they are just echoes of ideas we've been tracking throughout this whole book, which is the idea of the emptiness of the world as presented in chapter 42 or the fullness of the world as presented in chapter 36. So with regards to this kind of nighttime pursuit, we have two passages which seem to recall these same ideas. The first one describes how the weather was very calm, and Ishmael starts to wonder whether there's more to that. So it says, these temporary apprehensions, so vague but so awful. By the way, what they are apprehending is the notion that Moby Dick might be the source of these nighttime jets, these spirit spouts. These temporary apprehensions, so vague but so awful, derived a wondrous potency from the contrasting serenity of the weather. So apparently it's, very nice out, in which beneath all its blue blandness, note that blandness is kind of similar to the notion of whiteness of the whale. Some thought there lurked a devilish charm. As for days and days we voyaged along through seas so wearily lonesomely mild, that all space, in repugnance to our vengeful errand, seemed vacating itself of life before our urn-like prow. So, of course, this begs the question that we see this through the lens of chapter 36 through chapter 42. We're back to the classic knowledge problem of the text. Is there a God watching the Pequod, imbuing the seas with some kind of animation or intention to be calm in order to contrast with their spirits, in order to perhaps shake them out of their monomania or to indicate its displeasure? Or are the seas simply calm and there's nothing more to it? It's the product of mechanical interaction between temperature and pressure and certain other meteorological systems that I'm not super informed about. The question is, like in this passage, is there a devilish charm lurking behind the events of life? Is there something animating them more than science? Same thing here. It's talking about how the Pequod is moving through the sea at night, and it says, and heaved till still unrestingly heaved the black sea, as if its vast tides were a conscience, and the great mundane soul were in anguish and remorse for the long sin and suffering had bred. Okay, so once again, the ship is being described, these ravens are being described as perching themselves on the boat. Of course, this is drawing from the figurative association between ravens and death. And so are these ravens perching themselves there as a product of, nature's, capital N nature, gods, Vishnus, Yahwehs, take your pick, of animating spirits' disapproval of the evil and death that is caused by the Pequod's monomaniacal and prideful pursuits? Or are these just ravens that are looking for a place to stay and there's nothing more in their heads than instinct? Good luck figuring that out, but chapter 51 is certainly raising those questions in the exact same register and manner that they are explored more thoroughly in chapter 36 and chapter 42. But I think part of what gives this text its richness is how those ideas echo through multiple chapters in different ways and in different expressions. So there you go. It's a short chapter. I think those are the two most important passages. See you in chapter 52.